Hi, my name is Hilary Nelson. I'm a biblical counseling major at Liberty, pursuing a minor in psychology. For my higher level classes for my minor, I intend to take addiction recovery, um, the classes pertaining to that. Um, I don't have a set career path in mind. Whenever I began classes at the university, I didn't necessarily have a specific career in mind, though I knew that I wanted to serve in some capacity. I feel called to support women going through challenging situations. I pretty much always have. I don't know what that's going to look like per se, whether it is addiction recovery ministry or a halfway house supporting victims of domestic violence or prison ministry or even reentry programs. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where God will lead me, but I am open and willing to serve in any capacity wherever He does. I often hear discussions about addiction recovery and discussions about trauma separately, but there is an important connection between the two that's often overlooked, especially in cases of women who have been incarcerated or are incarcerated. So, the research question that I developed is: how does a history of trauma affect addiction recovery and recidivism outcomes in previously incarcerated women? I reviewed several sources from studies that had focused on the interconnection of these factors. Um, a study by Wolf and colleagues in 2010 focused on women that had volunteered for trauma based reentry programs. These women had PTSD and substance abuse disorders and had experienced different levels of trauma. Um, the study showed that trauma enforced care can significantly reduce addiction relapse and the chance of going back to prison. Another source I used was a doctoral dissertation from 2020 by D.S. Mason. Mason explored the connection between adverse childhood experiences and the likelihood of recidivism. Women who had experienced serious trauma early in life were much more likely to go back to prison, even after going through reentry programs. For my research question, I think that I would prefer to use a qualitative method. According to Crawford, qualitative research is ideal when the goal is to understand meaning or emotion or experience. And I'm not trying to just capture or measure the number of relapse or times of reincarceration. I want to understand how trauma actually shapes a woman's ability to recover and heal and rebuild her life after incarceration. Qualitative research helps us to understand people's perspectives and motivations in a deep and personal way. Um, and that's exactly what this question requires, something personal, human, something honest, and to really get to the core issues. A major strength of qualitative research is that it allows people to speak in their own words. You can ask open ended questions, and their answers can really capture the deep personal realities that you can't reduce to numbers. You can explore the how and the why behind the behavior, which is perfect for understanding trauma's effect on recovery. Qualitative research methods are flexible and sensitive. They allow for people to share their stories. Crawford points out that qualitative research can even bring up information that researchers themselves never thought to ask. But qualitative research also comes with limitations. It usually uses small, focused groups of people, which means that the results can't be generalized to larger populations. Um, and because people's stories are complex and varied, it takes time to analyze their responses. It also takes quite a while to gather the information because uh, like interview process takes a very long time, and you have to have people that you have to make them comfortable with you and be able to share their stories naturally, which takes even extra time. In research, reliability is it refers to how consistent the results are when the same methods are used again and again, while validity refers to how accurately a study captures what it's supposed to measure. Um, the strengths that I mentioned, open ended questions, and allowing the participants to explain their experiences in their own words, it directly improves validity. It helps to reflect, or for the results to reflect the actual experiences of the women and not just what I expect to find. This supports the construct validity because it allows things to emerge naturally um, from the data, from the interviews, and instead of being forced into predefined categories. It also could allow for a higher convergent validity when multiple participants independently describe similar experiences, which increases the confidence that the themes are grounded in the truth. Since researchers use small focus groups, the it would be difficult to apply test retest reliability because repeating the study with a new group might not produce the same results because of different personal experiences, especially when a topic is complex or personal. For data collection, I would definitely do interviews or open ended surveys, most likely interviews though. Some difficulties that I might have would be participants only telling me what they think I want to hear or just not being honest. Since this is such a sensitive topic, people might not want to talk about it, and that would be difficult to collect the information. You would have to really create safe and personal relationships with these people for before they would be honest with you. The interviews would be semi-structured. I would ask the same open-ended questions with all participants, but also allow for a natural conversation. I would record and transcribe the interviews and then use content analysis um, to go through the transcripts to identify repeated words or ideas, look for themes, lack of support, trust issues, things like that. To handle the challenges, I would make sure everything is confidential and voluntary, and I would approach each conversation interview with compassion and empathy. So to um, sum it up, my research question was, how does a history of trauma affect addiction recovery and recidivism outcomes in previously incarcerated women? The best way to explore this is through qualitative research because it allows women to tell their own stories. While the study wouldn't produce data that could be graphed or measured with numbers, it would still provide us with a incredible insight into real experiences, and it could change the way that we think about trauma and addiction and recidivism.